Should you buy or rent in Columbus? Hey guys, Andy Howell here, local real estate agent right here in Columbus, Ohio. In today's video, we're going to be exploring that question, should you buy or rent? But before we do, please reach down, hit that subscribe button. We've been making videos all about Columbus, what it's like to live here, whether you should buy or rent, and the cool things that are happening here. So click that bell, hit subscribe so you don't miss another video. So how many times have you asked yourself this question? A lot, right? I get it a lot from potential clients. Should I buy or rent? And to me, it really comes down to what your intentions are, and more importantly, what your time frame is, right? How long are you looking to live in this area? Are you looking to fill like a year or two gap? Are you looking for this to be your forever house? Are you looking for 2 to 3 years? What are you looking for? So historically, interest rates right now are super cheap, and they have been for like 10 years, since the Great Recession, essentially. You know, of course, no crystal ball here, but as Mark Twain says, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Historically, interest rates have been very cheap for like the last 10 years. So that means that each of your dollars that you're borrowing, they have more purchasing power. Your dollars go further when you're qualifying for a mortgage at 3% compared to 6%. What can you anticipate with this type of economic activity? So keep that in your mind. For me, personally, I think 2 years is the absolute minimum for you to live in a house and expect to be able to sell it and not lose money, right? Because you have the soft costs of closing and the realtor expenses. So you've got all the title, all the fees with that, your title insurance policy, and then paying the realtors and everything. So you ideally don't want to lose money. I get it. Your home is not an investment, but why not at least try to insulate yourself against the prospect of losing some money, right? So 2 years is the absolute minimum for me. 2 to 3 years, I'm looking hard at it. Why do I really say 2 years though? Well, I'm not an accountant and don't play one on the internet, so check with your accountant on this, but there is language in the tax code that allows you, if you've lived in a personal residence for 2 of the last 5 years, that you can sell it and your capital gains are tax-free. Compared to shorter than 2 years, you're looking at either long or short-term capital gains. That is the main reason why I say 2 years is the minimum. You know, if you have 2 to 3 years, I would say look really hard at it. You know, for me in that time frame, I've got to buy something that has a little value add. I want to be able to do some rehab to it and create some value. So when I do go to sell at the end of that, say 2 to 3 year period, again, I can pay for all those soft costs. I have created some sweat equity. Maybe I end up living for free with the for those 2 to 3 years with the proceeds from selling the property. However, you don't want to count on appreciation solely, in my opinion. If it happens, it's gravy, but if you don't count on it, then you're not going to be in a bad spot should the market conditions change. So it begs the question, should I ever rent? Why would you ever rent? Well, I think renting can provide some really great options, again, depending on your circumstances. If you're looking to fill a gap, say 6 months, a year, something like that, I would say 100% rent. If you're moving to a new area, maybe consider renting first, getting the lay of the land. And that's what renting does that's so beautiful. You can come into a neighborhood and try it on for size. You can live somewhere even for 3 months, for 6 months, see if you like the neighborhood. Maybe you realize, you know, it looks great from the outside, but I don't really like the people who live here. If you rent, you haven't made a huge purchase and you're kind of locked in, right? So other benefits to renting, if something breaks, you just call your landlord and they fix it. No fuss, no muss, they fix it. Or your property manager, no questions asked. But to me, renting long-term is it's just not where it's at. I anticipate, you know, this cheap money environment to be lasting for several years yet. And I just think that by renting and not having an asset, you are losing purchasing power over time. At least if you buy something, buy a home, you know, the home's going to keep pace with inflation most likely, and you're going to insulate yourself against loss of purchasing power. So again, no crystal ball here. I have no idea how long interest rates will stay low. I have no idea whether this low interest rate environment will continue to mean inflation, but I know that it has historically. And again, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. As inflation goes up, what's gonna happen to your rent payment? Unless you got a gem of a landlord, you can expect that your rent monthly lease is gonna go up over time. It just is, at least to keep pace with inflation. When you purchase a home, you're locking in a payment. Now, granted, your taxes can and do go up over time, but that principal and interest payment is consistent over a 30-year period. Now, here's the last thing. President Biden has intimated that he has proposed that there be a first-time home buyer grant of $15,000 per individual that can be used right at the closing table. And this is going to be a big deal if it goes through. This is going to mean that many people who never had the money for a down payment, and traditional programs, you're looking at putting, 3.5% to 5% or more down. All of a sudden $15,000 is going to mean these people can go out and buy a $300,000 home where maybe they never could before. And I got to tell you, there's already a ton of demand in the real estate market. There's not a lot of inventory. I think that this proposal and this $15,000 grant could create a lot more demand in the market. So along with the cheap money, cheap interest rates, I don't see how renting long-term is going to be in your financial interest. So I would love to hear what you guys think though. Please drop a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about Columbus, about buying versus renting, or just any questions at all, please feel free to reach out, let me know. I absolutely love hearing from you guys, and have a great day.